Okay, super Mike. Before we start, I'd like to recite the Serenity Prayer. I think it really ties in with my message of let them. And it will be followed by a moment of silence. And for those of you that know the Serenity Prayer, feel free to join in. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you. Today I am going to be discussing the let them philosophy. Today's talk will explore an idea on how to overcome a habit that I possess, and I think many of you will be able to relate to. The habit is the continued belief that I can control how other people act. In addition to their opinions, especially in regard to me. My lifelong technique to affect people and situation is to be good. The term good can mean many things, and I think you get the point when I say no matter how kind, funny, dependable, smart, hardworking, or generous we are, there is always someone or something that can counter that belief, the fly in the ointment. The book, Let Them, details how the pursuit of attempting to control external events, people's actions, and opinions is the source of much of our suffering, anxiety, and frustration. Let them theory focuses specifically on interactions with others. For example, when someone disappoints you, judges you, or behaves in a way you dislike, the book suggests the powerful yet peaceful response of the phrase, let them. These words can be recited either silently or out loud. The goal of this practice is to spare you the exhausting and futile effort of trying to change outward circumstances or the actions of the offending party. My husband and I own two darling burros, Millie and Lily. In a recent documentary about these beasts of burden, I learned the burro cannot be trained, but it can be taught. I think that is true of most of us. Perhaps by approaching the desire to change the behavior of others, we utilize the let them technique and thereby, over time, either train them or to be less annoying or train ourselves to be immune to their bothersome traits. I was introduced to the let them principle when a friend told me about an interesting podcast she had heard. The podcaster, Mel Robbins, is an attorney, wife, mother, motivational speaker, and New York Times best-selling author of The 5-Second Rule, and her latest book, Let Them. I listened to her podcast, and because it was an easy concept, I started working with the suggested techniques. Instead of trying to control a situation or person that is triggering feelings of anxiety, annoyance, judgment, or anger, I repeat the phrase, let them, or let it. At its core, the theory promotes the emotional detachment from another person's actions, let them, and in turn suggest a disciplined focus towards one's own actions, let me. Example, Say you are behind a driver that is going extremely slow and you're running late for an appointment and there is no safe way to pass them. Rather than risking an accident or surrendering to feelings of anxiety and increased anger, let them, and respond to let me by pulling over to call the person or employer that is awaiting your presence to tell them you're running a bit behind. This time also allows for some deep breaths, calming reflection, and the opportunity for the slow-poke driver to get the hell down the road. An added benefit is it informs your friend/employer of your own whereabouts and thereby quells their own rising irritation with you. In its attempt to focus on one's reactions to life, the let them concept can itself become a spiritual exercise as it aligns closely with the religious principles of surrender, non-attachment, and equanimity. In the Buddhist tradition, the practice of non-attachment is a key precept. The Buddha taught that attachment to desires, objects, and people is a primary cause of suffering. Similarly, Robin's theory asserts that attachment to how others should behave or how others should perceive us is a major source of our own personal suffering. As followers of Jesus the Christ, Matthew chapter 5, verse 39 encourages us to turn the other cheek when we feel wronged. This can be interpreted as a form of non-resistance. It suggests responding to aggression with peace rather than meeting it with an equally forceful reaction. This is not passive submission, but a powerful refusal to be drawn into a conflict that is beyond one's control. Stoicism, while not a religion, but rather an ancient Greek school of philosophy, influenced Western and Christian thought and provides a direct secular analog to the let them, let me approach. It teaches that happiness is found by focusing on what one can control, our own thoughts and actions, and accepting the things we cannot. The equanimity described in Stoicism refers to a state of being unperturbed by emotions, especially those arising from external events. This is achieved by understanding that many of life's events are beyond one's control, and by allowing these events to unfold without becoming emotionally invested in their outcome, we can lead a more peaceful existence. For most of my life, I have been consumed with the habit of control. Like most of us, I have tried my best to stay on track with my relationships, education, career, health, the maintenance of my possessions, and the list goes on. And like you, I have managed to juggle these aspects of my life with varying success. Some of life's realities are more challenging than others, and of those, I believe relationships are the most rewarding and yet the most challenging. You see, paying bills and brushing my teeth don't seem to have the same effect on my psyche as the perception of feeling misunderstood, judged, or disrespected. And by this I mean dealing with other people. The emotional burden of resentment, disappointment, anger, worry, and frustration that comes from living and working with others can feel overwhelming. And the associated stress response from any of these emotional infractions can lead to hours, if not lifelong, feelings of resentment that have an impact on our mental and physical health. I'm sure you can all name at least one person that has not spoken to a family member for years, and oftentimes for what we may judge as something minor, perhaps even silly. Some families seem to be hardwired for feuding and non-forgiveness. The problem with holding on to the concept that we can change people or situations is that it's a huge waste of our energy. Let people be themselves. People act according to their own character, values, and past experiences. Trying to force them to be different is an act of self-torture. For example, a friend that is habitually late for engagements, rather than spit and sputter, cajole, tease, curse, or whatever your outward form of judgment takes, let them be who you know they are. You can then let me, by taking action to protect your own sanity, by having them meet you at the venue versus waiting for them to pick you up, or give them a time 30 minutes earlier to meet than is necessary to make the engagement. Another source of stress is allowing people to have their own opinion. This is a huge source of anxiety. We worry about what others think of our choices, our appearance, our success, or how good a cook we are, or how clean our house appears. The philosophy here is to stop seeking approval. How many times have I attempted to justify my opinion or to attempt to change someone else's? These days, it is common to try and sway other people to our political ideology while attempting to convince them that they are on the wrong side of history. Let them. And then let me write a letter to the editor or donate to a cause that is trying to change the world in a way I support. Let them walk away. This is perhaps the hardest one. It's about accepting that some relationships or opportunities are not meant for you. If someone wants to leave, a door closes. The most powerful thing you can do is to let them go. When a friend ghosts you or scratches you off their friend list, yes, it can be confusing and painful. The freedom that comes with let them shifts the focus from what you're losing to what you're gaining. Reframe the relationship in a way that perhaps lessens the pain. A helpful quote for me has been, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. By gaining clarity, you see situations for what they truly are, not what you want them to be. And the energy you use to spend on others can now be redirected toward your own goals, happiness, and growth. So what is to be done once we've decided to let them, or let it, be whatever life is showing us? Ignoring people, situations, conversations, and behaviors that you find irritating sounds good, right? Well, in theory, yes. But the let them theory does have its detractors, and here are a few. Many therapists argue that complex relationships and interpersonal issues cannot be solved with a simple mantra. Real-life relationships require compromise, repair, and mutual effort. The let them approach may discourage working through problems with a partner or family member, leading to emotional disengagement instead of healthy conflict resolution. In cooperative relationships, like marriages or business partnerships, simply letting them can be an irresponsible abdication of shared duties. It may lead to a cycle of passivity rather than of collaboration. Critics note that by framing all resistance as a simple choice, The theory ignores the unseen forces of bias, past experiences, and trauma that make it difficult for people to change. By letting them continue to cross boundaries or behave poorly, individuals may inadvertently enable toxic behavior in others. This may lead to resentment and lack of accountability in relationships. Relying on the let them mindset may also allow individuals to evade uncomfortable but crucial conversations about hurt feelings or unmet needs. Communication is vital for fostering deeper intimacy and trust. These are all valid points to consider when starting to use the let them philosophy, and I do not subscribe to the notion that it is appropriate in all situations. For instance, I would not willingly let someone engage in dangerous behavior like driving a car when they are obviously impaired to do so. However, I do encourage you to embrace it for those situations that we all find ourselves in on a daily basis. People who are lousy drivers, long-winded conversations about things you don't find interesting, political opinions, especially if you don't share them, ill-timed teasing, the list is long. In these instances, the let them tool, followed by the let me insight, can help ease the anxiety of wishing things were different, while allowing us a venue to explore an alternate way to react beyond being disempowered. A common story is of a snoring bed partner. Instead of waking the blissfully slumbering bear, the misery loves company approach, consider using earplugs, sleeping in another room, or suggesting a sleep study to assess for sleep apnea. In closing, here are some actionable takeaways to start using the let them approach. Step 1, notice the resistance. Become aware of when you are trying to force an outcome or change someone's mind. Step 2, say the words mentally or out loud, let them, repeat as needed to ease your tension. Step 3, ask yourself, what can I do now that I've released this control? Focus on a positive, self-directed action. Remember, the let them philosophy is not about indifference or giving up. It's about radical self-acceptance and empowerment. It's about stepping back from another's issues and stepping fully into your own life. Namaste.